Hi, Pasi here. Let's talk about Quadratus Lumborum muscle, what it does, and why it is so important muscle on back pain and back problems and musculoskeletal problems. Quadratus Lumborum muscles are located here. They go from ribs down to the end of your pelvis or your hip, and it attaches the few vertebrae. And like all muscles, they are in stretch and they are pulling the hip up on each side. But the one muscle counteracts to the other muscles. You use the Quadratus Lumborum when you sit, when you walk, and when you stand up. And of course when you run. And when you look at the skeleton, you notice that you have extremely strong bones from pelvis down and from ribs up. But we are cut half from the middle. So there are only few vertebrae that are keeping these two bone structures together. And then because we don't have joint or bone here, the support needs to come from the muscles. And the Quadratus Lumborum muscle is as far out as any muscle can be. So now if you're right-handed, like I've said this hundreds of times before, you're always twisting and turning left and using your left leg as a support. Whatever you do, throw a ball, play any kind of racket sports, use a vacuum cleaner, shovel, lift something, you are always turning left. And now you are exercising the left side Quadratus Lumborum muscle more. And now when this side gets stronger, it starts to pull the hip up and pull the ribs and shoulder down. And now when your hip is misaligned, this side comes up, the other side needs to turn forward. But let's think about the lowest vertebrae. If this is the L5, the lowest vertebrae you have, then you have disc and L4. When your hip is straight, all the vertebrae are straight, the discs are getting even pressure. No problem, the discs last forever. But if the hip misaligns because the Quadratus Lumborum is stronger on one side, the L5 vertebrae turns with it, and now you have a pressure at the end of the disc between the L4 and L5. And eventually the disc will either bulge or herniate to the weak side, or it will wear down. So that's why the Quadratus Lumborum muscles are so important. So if the hip misaligns, the discs are in danger, your hip joints are working on a wrong angle and they will wear down and the left side won't rotate properly. You may have noticed that if you do something, one hip joint is working worse than the other and your shoulder is pulled down, so your whole posture is off. And when the hip turns and the L5 vertebrae turns, the spine can't go here, so it does a little S shape. And many times you hear that I have a scoliosis. Nothing to do with the scoliosis. Just because the hip turns, it needs to act to that. And many times you hear that one of your legs is shorter, but it's only because your hip turns, the hip joints are on a different level, so one of the legs looks shorter. So you need to keep the Quadratus Lumborum muscles and surrounding muscles in balance. And one of the worst things you can do if you have back pain or any musculoskeletal problem, you may have heard that you need to exercise the core muscles. But if you have a misaligned hip, you have a squeeze to the disc and the vertebrae are misaligned too on one side. Now if you are exercising the core, you are exercising the misalignment. And it just squeezes harder and you are exercising the imbalance. So you need to get the core muscles and Quadratus Lumborum muscles back in balance. I've done this for 20 years and my job is to balance the core muscles because that's the mother and father of pretty much all back and musculoskeletal problems. And I'm starting new live online coaching on February 3rd on Friday. Twice a week for 6 months because it takes about 6 to 12 months to get the balance back. We will exercise your core muscle balance, the imbalance back in balance. If you want to join the coaching, send me an email. You can find my email on the description, pasi@pasipulkkinen.com. And I highly recommend it because I've worked with 37,000 customers so far, and pretty much everyone has had the same problem. I used to have it for 25 years. I had 3 major surgeries. I ate about 10,000 oxycodone pills, and I had about 150 different kinds of therapies. But after all that, I was misaligned as beep, and the pain was the worst ever. But then I figured out that my core muscle balance was way off. I fixed that. It's now 19 years ago, and I'm fine. I went back playing ice hockey. I can train 100%. I can do whatever. I have absolutely no back problems anymore. But I lost about 25 years because I had very badly imbalanced core muscles. And please subscribe and like and comment. It helps me tremendously. But I hope to see you in my coaching. See you there. Bye.